Hi, this is Bravo21. I'm a glider pilot and a sim developer. Today I'm going to be flying the AS-33, the Schleicher flapped 18-meter glider with ballast around the same tasks that I flew the Discus 2 in Microsoft Flight Simulator just a couple of days ago. So the whole point of this is you'll be able to compare the gliders a little bit. I've done numerous videos showing one glider or a different glider. Well, this is the same flight in the same weather in two different gliders. So with a bit of luck, if you're gradually getting the hang of how does gliding actually work, how does gliding work in Microsoft Flight Simulator, then be able to compare those two. If you see the Discus one first, then you see this one. You'll be picking up the nuances of what are the differences between the gliders instead of just getting to grips with what the hell am I doing in the glider in the first place. Okay, so I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'll try not to talk too much. We'll just get on with it. Okay, so I'll close the canopy. I've set custom views so I can look out relatively easy. I'm going to do a winch launch in this glider. This glider does have a engine with a pylon. The engine can open up out the back. It opens up out of here, but I won't be using that. I'll be doing a winch launch as I did in the Discus 2. I am going to check the spoilers are closed. You can look at them opening. I'll briefly show up a picture of the task here, and I won't talk over it. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're going around that sort of approximate quadrilateral. And air brakes are closed. Ballast is loaded. We've got to be a bit careful. This has flaps. The flap lever is here. They're labeled. 0 would be the best glide with ballast at about 75 knots or something like that. And then all the flap settings coming back from there are increased positive flaps. That's moving down the trailing edge of the wing so that we can fly more slowly, and we will get more lift with those flaps and more drag for what it's worth, but we're flying more slowly, we'll have more control. Whereas moving the flap lever this way, you can see what it's doing. We're moving in a negative flap, and what that does is it tilts the trailing edge of the wing up. So that gives us better high-speed performance. So generally you're going to see me flying around in -2 today. But we're going to take off in A, which is just a couple of degrees positive from 0, because it gives us good control, and we don't know if we're going to have a cable break on the winch, in which case we're immediately going to be landing. And this glider has a retractable gear. We're going to leave the gear down while we do the winch launch, just in case the cable breaks. We may need to land at a moment's notice, and you don't want to be futzing around with putting the undercarriage back down, having raised it as you're going up the cable. Normally when you're on a cable, your mind is pretty focused on getting the job done, and you don't want to mess around with the controls too much. Okay, so I'm going to call a winch launch.
Cable on, please.
As I did in the Discus, and we'll get going.
Take up slack.
So we've got a different set of instruments, but we've got the main variometer here. I'll put in 3 knots of McCready on there. Picking up speed. Plenty of speed. We're going to go up. You can see the gear warning because it knows that the glider knows I'm carrying ballast. And generally the winch, the guy operating the winch, is looking a little bit on how steep you're climbing, and possibly counterintuitively, if you put the nose forwards, the winch driver will speed up. But we're nearing the top of the winch. Anyway, I can't keep going up in a steep climb because we're getting nearer to the top of the winch. What I'm actually doing is I'm looking at my airspeed and keeping the same airspeed. But there's a winch underneath us, and soon we're going to be flying underneath it. You see, that's the slowing down. That's the winch launch. Is not the winch driver isn't launching us anymore, really. There you go, and I did a nice gentle release. I think within a few seconds after that launch would have pinged off anyway. Okay, so now we're up. I can raise the gear. I can do that either by going... Actually, I've never done it using the control down here. That one. Because I've got a key set. G is the default key that will raise the gear. Okay. This glider has an instrument. I programmed this. There's a lot of work went into this. Getting the map. There's a zoom knob up here. It has the task on it. You'll see the task, which we're flying around. We're going to go around clockwise. The current leg, I don't know if you can see those yellow and black stripes moving in the direction we're supposed to be going. That's the current leg. Okay, and that will mean if we look down here, there's two waypoints shown here, start and Sywell. And we're heading to start. It says at the moment if we fly towards it, which we're not, this arrow tells us which way to go. Or you can look at which way is the glider pointing on the map and work out, well, we're going to have to, if I zoom in, we're going to be flying through here and then down that leg. We've got the same weather, so I've got the same wind. There's a 8 knot westerly wind blowing today. Right, so first order of business is to get organised. Let's have a look. I've got to find us some lift from somewhere. Where am I going? I'll go over there. See, these varios, this vario in the bottom right is netto, so I'm going to change into more positive flap. T1, T2 would be even more positive. I'm not worried about it. T1 will be right. So I'm not flying that slowly. And I'm just going to circle, and this that's blue stuff is a glitch in the simulator. Just moving the trim back. I'm flying too quickly. That's because the trim is set for slightly more forward speed. And I'm holding the stick fairly gently. You don't need to grip the stick in a vice-like grip. You can just kind of hold it between a couple of fingers normally. And then you feel what's going on better, which you don't in the sim, but hey. So I'm doing the same start as I did in the discus. There's a 4,000 foot high limit. So I'm going to climb. You can see the altimeter in the bottom left hand corner. It's saying 3,440 feet at the moment. We want to get a bit above 4,000 feet and then turn towards the start. I haven't found a particularly good climb, and I'm not climbing in it particularly well. I think if we come around one more turn, I'll already try a different one, I think. I'd forgotten. These buttons are all associated with control events you can set in your settings and set them to a button on your joystick or a keyboard command. I can't remember what they are, but I have done them. I just haven't flown this. I'm working on upgrading this glider a little bit, but I haven't flown it for a while. But yeah, this top left-hand button can toggle between a thermal indicator. You'll see it working in a minute. All the horizon, which you can click. So you're one click away from clicking that in if you've been thermaling, but now you're going to thermal up into the cloud, which you are allowed to do in the UK. Okay, back to the map. See the glider on the display now, it's like dropping these green blobs behind it, like breadcrumbs. Those are indicating, not doing very well in this thermal. They're indicating lift behind the glider. Tell you what, let's see if I can pick lift up by flying back there. Most pilots, I would say, tend to circle when they're thermaling in one direction or the other. When you join a thermal, you always join it in this, circling in the same direction as the gliders that are already in it, if there are any. Okay, so you see the red dots appearing behind the glider on that panel in the center. That's because we're not climbing at all. I'm going to go to I'm programming I'm programming adverse yaw into the glider, and so if you can see as I fly, can you see the yaw string? The bottom edge of the yaw string is pointing towards just a sort of slightly yellower patch of the earth. You see when I bank to the left, counterintuitively, that yaw string is the bottom, the nose of the glider is going to move to the right. Watch as I turn left. There you go. See that? The nose of the glider actually went the other way. That is adverse yaw, and that's because as you turn, you've got very long wings, and as the ailerons go down on this wing, it causes drag, and that wing gets dragged backwards, and that drags the nose sideways. Okay, but it's been a bit difficult to implement in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but it's kind of easier now. But this version of the AS-33 in the simulator sort of predates some of the stuff that Microsoft did, and then I put a whole load of it. I've ignored that basically and put a different programming in this one. And I'm experimenting with how much adverse yaw to leave in here. See, so this is netto. That's telling us what the air is doing outside the glider. And this red needle here is total energy, and it's showing what we're doing. There you go. So I just went into thermaling flap. I'm going to turn in this. Another change for this version of the glider is I've kind of worked on these tones in the Vario. Just so that the ranges from low to high are kind of better than they were before. Oops. I knocked the spoilers open with my finger on the joystick accidentally. You saw the warning come on the dashboard. We're not getting very convincing thermals, are we? Just going to check the weather. I forgot to mention last time I set the temperature to 85 degrees. Yep. There you go, 85 degrees. I was just checking in case I got that wrong. I don't know why the humidity's crept up. %, scatter, 40% cover. Sorry, 40% scatter. It's 40% coverage, 50% scatter. And the density, that's changed. I set that to 2. Weather keeps changing when I set the settings and then at least the wind's still the same, and then click to select something else, and Microsoft is changing the weather setting that I put in, which is annoying. Okay, I'm back concentrating again. See, we are climbing. We're up at 3,800 feet now, but I'm doing really badly here. I should just concentrate a bit more. I'm going to turn to the right again. You're going to see, when I turn to the right, see the way the nose is pointing? If you just look at the red yaw string and see where it's lined up on the, kind of near the horizon in front of us, watch when I turn to the right, which means the left-hand aileron will go down, that will cause drag, and it's going to pull the nose to the left. Okay, you watching? There. Okay. And you see the yaw string moving, so I'm not twisting. People that know me know that I don't want to twist my joystick to simulate pressing on the rudder pedals, because that won't feel realistic to me at all. I don't have any rudder pedals, basically, not for the simulator. So you know, I'm down to twisting the stick, which I don't really want to do. And the advantage of me programming in the adverse yaw is I'm going to provide a way where whoever's flying this glider can increase it or decrease it or turn it off. But if you, I'll have chosen something that kind of makes sense. Right, this is actually a thermal. We'll choose to set it. It'd be about what you saw here, is what I think probably makes sense for a very modern glider like the AS-33. One of the things they've done with modern gliders is they've made them give less adverse yaw. At the same time, the wingspans are tending to get longer, which is increasing the adverse yaw. But overall, they're pretty good at it. So I'm climbing at an average of, you see the yellow number on the computer vario here, 2.6. This number here, where it says true average, is this nav computer knows when I started circling, and it started calculating how much height have I gained since then and how long has it taken. So it's ignoring all the ups and downs of the vario. It's just looking at, okay, you've been turning for the past however long, and you're this much higher than you were when you started. Therefore, your true climb rate has been 2.5, 2.6. And this number is kind of roughly what you're climbing at the moment. The needle is the most sensitive indication of that. So that is kind of a slightly faster version of that, I think. Okay, that was a bit of a correction. When I was circling, it just felt like I was not in the lift. Okay, I think that'll do. Let's take this display off. Okay, I'll zoom in a bit, you'll be able to see the start. So what I'm going to do now is turn around, go through the start, and we're going to head off to this first, that is the start waypoint. Then this nav instrument will automatically click over to Sywell. But you can choose your current waypoint simply by turning this knob: Sywell, Newham, Coventry, Bruntingthorpe, then the finish. Okay, back to the start. So you've got complete control over which waypoint you want to look at. And the key number on here really is this one, which is the flight computer calculating what height will you be at when you arrive. It's saying the waypoint is 3.5 miles away. These distances are cumulative around the task. And it's saying when you've gone around that waypoint and you've gone to Sywell, that is a total of 25.6 kilometers. Right. Here you go, I'll have it on start. It'll take us through it, but I'm actually going to just turn the wrong knob. If I turn this knob is how many waypoints would you like it to display on the screen? And I'll make that 1 for the moment. You'll see it nearer the end of the task. I'm going to make that 2 waypoints. Okay, so I'm going to go into next year in thermaling flap because I've just been drifting along, gaining height. We're at 4,700 feet. I'm going to put it into negative flap because we are about to haul ass. There you go, -2. I've got to get it below 4,000 feet before we go through the start, but I'm pretty confident we're going to be able to do that. There you go. So we're doing 120 knots. We're about to go through the start. There you go, task started at 3,967 feet, which is below the 4,000 limit. So we're good. And the instrument at the bottom has clicked over to Sywell. And it's saying at the moment, I set a McCready setting here, which moves this blue needle around this dial here, which is, what do I think my climb, in fact I'm going to click it down a notch, because the lift has not been that great. And I said, look, I'm expecting 2 knot climbs. And this instrument is now telling me how fast I should fly. It's saying on average fly at 90 knots. So I shall do that. And the red arrow is telling me, are we going up or down? Which is what you expect a kind of climb instrument to tell you. This one is doing the same thing, but it's subtracting the sink rate of the glider. So it's guessing what is the air doing outside the plane. So that's us flying through a thermal there. Okay, and then this green needle is, what speed am I flying? 100. Is the speed to fly needle, and it's calculating whether that 90 is if you're in completely still air. If the air is going up, you slow down, and if the air is sinking, you should speed up. And that needle is telling you that. If you see the green needle, see I've got the green needle on 0. If the green needle goes up there, it's telling me to slow down, and by how much. And if the green needle goes down there, which is what will happen when we're in sync, it's telling me to speed up. And you'll see as I push the nose, oh god, I'm not even going towards some waypoint. If I push the nose forward, the needle will, you'll see the green needle correcting. So it's saying slow down now, which I definitely want to do, because we're about to head off through this blue hole here. Right, see this reservoir over here? That's Pittsford Reservoir, and Sywell, where we're going, is, can't see it, but it's kind of around here. It's just the other side of this reservoir. We're going to go around Sywell, and then we're going to head off. You know, we're doing this sort of diamond-shaped task. I'll blip it up on the screen again, and we're heading off to the you know, the point on the right-hand corner. This will be Sywell airfield here. We'll see which way. We're going to be heading over there soon as we go around Sywell. We haven't been lucky with the thermals so far. If you watch this flap gauge, it's repeating what flap setting I'm in, and you're going to see me when I'm flying fast. I'm going to be going into -1, -2. When I slow down, I'm going to be in 0A or T1, T2 when I start thermaling. So here we are approaching the waypoint. You can see that's the 500-meter circle that's been drawn. We've got to get within that circle. We'll be deemed to have made it to the waypoint. So that's going to be any second. There you go. Shouldn't hang about. You'll see everything's updated now here. We're going to Newnham ground, which is some kind of airstrip. This map display has updated the highlighted animated line. Yellow and black line is now pointing towards the next waypoint. See, is this going to be the start of a thermal? You see this? See that cloud up there? The disappearing cloud up there. When we were in the discus, I went north of track because we had a hole here. We didn't have a hole. We had quite a good run down to the waypoint. We've got a bit of a hole this time. That'll be running down the centre there. Going off track isn't too bad if you do it early enough. If you get halfway down track and then decide to do a 90-degree turn to the left, you lose a lot of time doing that. Whereas you can think of it a bit like stretching an elastic band. You know, if you just kind of bowed it out in the middle. But otherwise, it'll be generally heading in the direction you want to go. It's not too bad. Oh look, hang on, that's a new cloud there, I think. See, that one's looking better. And unfortunately for us, we're on an upwind leg now. So I don't really want to stop and circle it unless I have to. But we're still at 4,000 feet, so. Come on. See, there's lift here a bit. I'm doing my best here, but not getting much. See, I'm flying slowly and I'm in as much positive flap as you get before you go into landing flap. Because we're full of ballast, absolutely full. And that would make the glider really pretty heavy. See the Vario saying speed up, speed up, speed up. That's this green needle. Oops, the green needle. I've got to turn these things off. That green needle down there is going, look, the lift's not that great, you should be flying faster. But I'm just hoping there'd be something underneath here. Let's see, Matt, we'll be able to see where, whoops, we'll be able to see where we're going. Okay, get back on track. You can see on the map how far I'm turning off on track, just to try and stay under these clouds. Bloody hell. Okay, we're going to go for this one. (3,300 feet) on the altimeter is not great. If I find a decent thermal, well, I'm not going to find a decent thermal, but if I find one that I can turn in at maybe 2.5 knots, I'm going to take it. We've got plenty of height at the moment. This flight computer will already be telling us, is calculating the distance to the finish. Oops. I turned the wrong knob. Okay, finish. So as things are, we're going to arrive at Newnham, okay, 1,300 feet. These are above. It's actually a choice whether you want these heights above ground level. Yeah, feet AGL. You probably, I wouldn't think you could read that. That says feet above ground there. So I'm going to arrive at Sywell at Newnham, 1,300 feet above ground. I'll arrive at Coventry, 370 feet below ground. But what you'll see is these numbers will all gradually be building up, and eventually we're going to be positive for the finish with a bit of luck. Let's see if we can turn in this. See, that was a circling correction. I just sort of, I've been talking, not concentrating on this thermal really, and yeah, I adjusted my fly to go more over to where I thought the lift was, just given the dots on that particular display. You can see I'm sticking with this thermal. Don't know how long we've been in it. 5 minutes. It won't be very long. And generally in a sim, people's patience is less, and you just want to kind of get going. But the truth is, it takes time to get established in a thermal. So your climb rate tends to improve simply because you're kind of gradually improving your circle or tightening your circle where you think the lift is. So if the lift hasn't actually died, it makes sense to stay with it. Which is what I'm doing. Boring though it is for you guys. But if I don't take this one, it just means I'm going to be doing the same thing again later on. You can see my average climb rate falling. Well, that didn't help. Oh, finish, look, we're only 450 feet below the finish. Okay, so we're going to be off when we're pointing in the right direction. Let me get rid of this. When we're pointing in the right direction, we're going to go. Because I think I'm going to be able to make up that height pretty easily. Well, could be famous last words, we'll see. Okay, let's go. There you go, back through to the negative flap. Alright, so it's a straight run. Not quite. It should be. I'll use a little bit of lift on the way. Like that cloud over there. It should be a straight run. We'll see. We're 490 feet below the finish. But we've just got to be able to pull up enough to get that height back. So you guys know we didn't really want to be doing this climbing on this upwind leg, into wind leg, but just look out there, the cumulus are miles away. So, you know, we had to take lift where we could find it. There we go then, back on track. I've actually was using the map. What I could have been doing is looking at this marker here, just point us in the right direction. Okay, so now we're 130 feet below, but that is based on this McCready setting we put in, which is the same thing as, you can either think of the McCready as this is technically what you're putting in. You're saying, I think I'll be climbing at 2 knots, but at the same time, you can be saying, I think I'm going to be flying, I'll be comfortable flying at 90 knots. So, but you'll see that height there, minus 180, which is going around these turn points, doing the calculation around the turn points, which means taking into account the wind is from a different direction in each of those. Change up a gear. But where are we? We're doing fine. You'll see that if I'm saying we're going to climb at 2 knots, or we're going to fly at 90 knots, same thing either way. If I turn it down to 1 knot, now it says I'm going to fly at 80 knots. This height has just got, these things are really annoying, aren't they? This height on the display there has just gone positive because I lowered the McCready setting. So I'm still going to put the McCready setting back up, and I'm just going to simply try and make up that height. I turned, though I don't normally have these indicators on, which is why I'm looking so stupid. I turn them on because of this adverse yaw. That's where you can dial in how much adverse yaw you want. You're not meant to change it, but you can if you want to. What am I doing? Going that way. There you go. So that's the bottom of the diamond. Now we're going to go to the, you can see the way we're pointing here. Top left hand corner diamond, then it'll be up, then it'll be back. Oh, we've got some clouds in front of us now. So we're going to do fine, I would expect. See this height here for the finish is just about to go, it's just gone positive. There they go. So what you could do now is just fly that glide slope if you wanted to. What we're going to do is we're going to make up a little bit of height, and then we're going to have A, a safety margin, and B, in real life you definitely need a safety margin. Here Microsoft's kind of modeling the lift, they're not really modeling the sink, so it's all upside really at the moment, flying cross-country task really. And it's not like in the real world there's sink everywhere. There isn't typically. You're just kind of flying around. There is some air going up, there's some air going down. But thermals are going up. You don't fly through kind of invert, upside down thermals, you know, that are just sucking you towards the ground. Those things don't exist really, except in special circumstances. See how much height we have now, 670 feet. That's not because we've gained that height in this thermal particularly, although we have gained some. It's because I've slowed down. So we pulled up. So that kind of shows you that when you set the McCready positive, it's actually giving you height in hand, because as you get nearer and nearer the finish, you're flying quite fast. So, you know, if you just slow down a little bit, you're going to gain height. See, we're getting confident now. Right. So what I'll do now, pretty much to make this easy, is I'm going to keep this arrival height above 500 feet. Okay, or not. That's better. We'll see how fast we get round. In the discus, I've still got the track log up in front of me. It was 135 kilometers an hour, 134.8. We'll see what this says. And the discus, in the discus, we made it to Coventry without taking a climb. But we're starting to get a bit low. But at least we didn't take a climb running into wind and consequently being blown backwards like we were when we were just doing it. But in the discus, we ended up taking a climb straight after turning Coventry. And I'd guess these speeds are going to be similar. There's Coventry Airport right in front of us. That long runway there. See these distances down the left-hand side. It's 5.7 kilometers to, and you can choose whether you're on miles or kilometers, but it's 5.4 kilometers to Coventry. We're going to go round that, and then it's 32 to Bruntingthorpe, so it's that 5 plus another 27, and then it's 40 kilometers to the finish line. And the finish line is right next to the, if you remember it, if you saw the discus flight, it's just off to the left of the main runway. God, I wasn't paying attention again. You see our arrival height has gone from 500 feet down to 350. It's because I'm talking rather than chewing gum. again, we've got a 500 meter radius around that waypoint. It can be anything. It can be set into the task, but the default is sort of 500 meters. Let's go. Okay, we're in lift here. See, I'm guessing the lift is to do with these clouds that are just above us slightly on the left hand side. So I'm actually, even though we're on final glide, I'm still going to take the energy if it's available, because that just means I'm going to be able to put it into our speed on the way back. I haven't slowed down that much, but I've slowed down a bit. And you'll see our arrival height improving. Well, this is the best thermal so far. This is actually where we turned. I might be getting exactly the same weather, I'm not sure. That would kind of make sense. It's alright, we're going to haul ass now anyway. If I increase the McCready, we can see. There you go. So now I could just fly McCready, see where this green needle is. I could just try and keep that around 0 somewhere. 'Oops, wrong knob. There you go. The left-hand knob controls how many waypoints are displayed on the screen. So it's 2 at the moment. If I move it down, it's only 1. If I move it back up, it's 2 or 3 or 4. Well, up until the end of the task anyway. So because we've just gone around Coventry, I could have clicked it down 1. .22 kilometers out of the finish, 13.6 to Bruntingthorpe. I'll start dumping ballast at, I don't know, 18 kilometers out or something. No, I'll do it less. HusBos is over there somewhere. Oh yeah. There's a wind farm over there. So I think it's over here somewhere. I've got to be a bit careful here. I want to keep my arrival height positive. Although I can make it positive simply by reducing the McCready setting. But I'd rather not. I'd rather keep the speed up. Oh, there you go. That's a runway there, isn't it? That's Bruntingthorpe going up there. If you can see that. Yeah, I'm going to dump the ballast. Okay, so this instrument's automatically clicked over to show us the ballast. There we go. See, the performance is actually going to... We won't be able to fly quite as fast without the ballast. So we have to be a little bit careful. But this flight computer does know how much ballast we've got. You know, you can see it's displaying it there. And all of these instruments are going to take that into account. You see it's not saying fly at 110 anymore, it's saying fly at 107. Because we're already lighter, 106. See, the speed to fly is coming down because we're getting lighter, and the optimum speed to fly for a given McCready setting is the optimum speed is actually slower if you're lighter. And the instrument's doing exactly that. There you go. Last waypoint. Next stop, HusBos. Okay, so I can reduce the waypoints by 1, and we're just looking at the finish. One kilometre radius. Oh, minimum 500 feet. Oh, that's above sea level. That's okay. Because the actual waypoint height, which is on here, is 472 feet. No, that's good. I was thinking how I'm going to need an extra 500 feet. That'd be a problem. Okay, so there's, oops, oh, bloody hell. That's HusBos around here. There's actually a runway going that way, a short one, and then there's the long runway going that way. And the finish line is in that field there. So look, I'm not paying attention, we've got a huge amount of height. The water ballast is almost all gone. It's only the inner tanks are still emptying. God, what are we doing? Okay. Yep, so there's HusBos along here. You can come around, the clubhouse is around there somewhere. The finish line crosses that field there. That's a waypoint there, I think. That's a HusBos waypoint. So we're going to see this click, but I hope it does. It's going to click up and say task completion, and it's going to tell us how fast we've gone. Reasonably well judged final glide, you know, so we weren't flying at VNE, you know, down the last 10 miles because we had height we didn't need. Here we go, let's see what speed we did. Ooh, 147.8. Not bad. Okay, so the ballast is gone. Time that pretty well, even though I say so myself. Let's have a look around. I'll put the gear down. In this update as well, I've added, you can hear the sound of the gear down, if you can hear that. That's it up. And that's it down. You know, and the sound changes according to how fast you're going. These are small updates. The main thing was to get that adverse yaw thing added. Yep, airport is just there. And there's a sound added for the air brakes open as well. Okay, if you can hear them. Closed. Open. That's full air brakes. You have to cut me some slack. I'm talking and not concentrating. It's a slight problem. Okay, so that is now half air brake. So you can look at the red indicator that's on the side of this ASI. Is giving you the air brakes indication. There's going to be an indicator there which shows you what's happening with the wheel brakes, which are also on the air brake lever for this AS-33. So coming in at half air brake, which is kind of perfect, which means we can put the brakes away, and then we wouldn't even land at this point, I reckon. We wouldn't touch the airfield. We'd go off the end. Yeah, we'll open the air brakes, half air brakes, and this, oops, I'm again not paying attention. We're going to hit the ground hard. Yeah, I was going to point out this indicator, which is telling us, confirming the gear is down. We want to be nearer to the clubhouse. So we've kind of gone around the corner at this point. And there we are. It's pretty good. I'll put up the same thing I did with the discus, which is the map with the track on it. Thanks for watching.